The world is holding its breath tonight as the terrifying nuclear standoff between India and Pakistan enters its 11,680th day. We take you now to Onion News Network reporter Dan Booker live on the India-Pakistan border. Dan, what is the scene like there?
Andrea, not unlike the calm before the storm, it is eerily quiet out here. The tension is unbearable as it has been for several decades.
Okay, tell us what's been going on with the mediation attempt so far. We understand East Pakistan has tried to intervene.
That's what our sources are telling us, but unfortunately we received word that that effort failed when the nation became Bangladesh.
And what about the U.S. involvement?
Both sides have been in touch with President Bush on the telephone. They've also spoken with President Clinton, Bush Sr., Reagan, Carter, Ford, Nixon, Johnson, Kennedy, Eisenhower, and Truman. No real progress has been made as of yet, but we are still holding out hope.
Okay, if you are just joining us, here is the summary of the events that have brought us to this point. 280,320 hours ago, Britain granted Pakistan and India independence. 268 hours later, a territory disagreement plunged the two nations into this volatile standoff that continues this hour. Pakistan's prime ministers have so far refused to sign a nuclear disarmament treaty, and the Indian prime ministers have said they are putting, quote, all options on the table. Dan, how are the civilians there coping with this crisis as it continues?
Mostly by growing old and dying, Andrea.
Of course. Now, Dan, we know that you yourself were caught up in some of the violence earlier. Here was that shocking moment.
Border tensions are extremely high with India and Pakistan on the brink.
Dan, that had to be a terrifying experience. Have you recovered from those injuries?
Yes, indeed. I was very lucky. A paramedic happened to be nearby who treated me. She later became my wife. We now have two beautiful children.
Dan, if diplomacy does not work, is there any other way that you see to resolve this conflict without violence?
Yes, there is one possibility here that people are holding out hope for. Since the fighting began, the natural shifting of continental plates has separated India and Pakistan 1/100 of a centimeter. So if a resolution is not reached within 800 billion years, the border may separate, ending this conflict without bloodshed.
Okay, Dan, we'll all be watching to see if that happens.